Greetings. This is Spooky Polly. I have never seen a state blow up like Minnesota. Bad governorship, corruption, and gangs will do that. They can make a movie of this, and no one would believe it. But there's a thread that runs through this between ICE, the corruption, and how the government deals with this. First, let's start off with the tragedy of Renee Good, shot by an ICE agent. Now, I was a little skeptical of this, but when I saw the bullet penetrate the front window there, I'll have to go with the agent. I don't like him giving the shot off. However, an automobile is a weapon, and this good woman should have known better. And let's be honest, no one cares about Renee Good. She was a disposable. She was never an important person, just like George Floyd. A disposable, someone you just, no one knew in life, no one cared. This is one of the tragedies of this. They're being used, people like this. She belonged to an organization that goes out there and wants to confront ICE. A lot of them are middle-aged, millennial women there, who don't seem to have anything better to do. Here in New York City, apparently they're planning to do the same thing. And they're like the same type of people. I don't want to say it outright. Losers. This woman had no business being out there. She had a child. She had a life. What she needed was a job for some seem to have. Now, as I said in an earlier video, when I said that crackdown at Canal Street here in New York, I happened to be there. And I noticed that there were about 80, 90 people watching this, most filming with their iPhone cameras. But there were about 4 or 5 women there were screaming at the ICE agents. I was saying to myself, women, why are you doing this? You have no idea who they're arresting. Because you see that ICE on the uniform, you automatically go nuts. Well, actions have consequences. You're impeding an arrest. You have no idea who the guy was. He turned out to be a guy who had their warrants on. Just, it's okay to protest. Nothing against that. But you start impeding an officer. And they were yelling obscenities. It turned me off on these people. Just by watching them behave. That's one aspect of this. The reason she's out there is because ICE is trying to round up these Somalis, the civilians. And why are they doing that? Because they're illegals. And more than that, they're a criminal organization. I've seen the videos of guys going around there to these healthcare facilities, these child care facilities, and no one's there but the thugs. This was a mob. No, they're more than that. This was an organized gang ripping off taxpayers to the tune of billions of dollars. And here's where the corruption comes in. When you make that kind of money, you're going to need protection. And they, you know how it is, bribe cops, bribe judges, bribe politicians. I'm not going to mention names, but we can draw inferences. And the fact is that the governor and the mayor of Minneapolis are being investigated. Doesn't mean they're guilty, but all this money going through here, I can't believe that people that talk didn't know. The media is hostile to ICE, but that's not surprising. If Donald Trump fails to get these people out of here, or enough of them out, by the next election, if the next election's a Democrat, then they'll make these illegals legal. I mean, but there's something like 20 million supposed to came in. Then God knows how many are hidden in America. All of a sudden, a Democrat gets in there, makes them legal. Next thing you know, wow, they turn red states blue. and we'll never have another fair election again. That's something to think about. And that's why Donald Trump and ICE have got to crack down. It's not pleasant to see this, but neither is warfare, and this is a type of warfare. Democrats started this, but I have a theory I want to run by you. I think this started in 2016. You know, Obama, before that, had deported something like 10 million illegals. That was just the norm. However, in 2016, if you recall, Hillary Clinton was, a big favorite. But she lost to Donald Trump. And I know what the bosses were thinking. Bosses over in Europe, the bosses here in America, bosses that want Hillary Clinton elected, saying, how can we trust these people? They elected Donald Trump. This democracy thing isn't working. At least not for us. So, I believe in 2020, they fixed some elections, some states, and they got Biden. And the thing was, let's not have this happen again. All these illegals came in there. All the excuse was, well, they're here to drive down the labor costs. And the more sinister than that is to change America forever, to make it less white, more Democrat. And it worked. We got about 10 to 20 million in here. We don't know how many. And just hold off until they can all be citizens. So Donald Trump won in 2024, and the bosses are saying, yeah, see, this is what happens. Well, the Donald Trump, doesn't fit into their plans. So this is the background of this, and you have to remember that. That's why it's so important that these people are ultimately deported. But it's going to be tough. It may not be possible even. I mean, Donald Trump may be the last president of his type. If the Democrat gets in there next, I'm going to tell you right now, they're going to have more, if need be, more immigration. They're going to make these people legal. And all of a sudden, we in America will not be the same country anymore. Corruption in Minnesota. Billions of dollars being taken from taxpayers, supposedly going to deceive people that didn't. They went the money went to Somalia. It went to politicians. It went to all the people that were needed to get this scam through. This could be happening all through America, all through different cities, all through different programs. I remember when Biden had that $1 trillion stimulus package that caused inflation to explode. I remember saying, oh, well, we would supposedly build bridges and roads and buildings. You're going to see very few bridges, very few roads, very few buildings. But a lot of people are going to get rich off it. This is how that works. This is how the corruption works. I said Renee Good is disposable. She was. Like soldiers going off the war, teenagers to die. They're disposable. The government decreed, well, for this purpose of winning this war, we can sacrifice these guys. When businesses and the government got NAFTA and other bills passed that moved our jobs out of America, it made a lot of cities and towns empty. These people that lost their job were responsible. This is how the system works. I'm watching, like you, I'm seeing this play out on TV, and you can see the difficulty of getting these people and deporting them. I'm rooting for ICE. And I know this type of chaos may well be coming to New York. And I will be rooting for ICE there too. But, speaking of disposables, that's little Polly here, who is subject to the whims of politicians. When you don't have money, you don't have status, you don't have protection, you're disposable. Just like Renee Good. Just like those poor teenagers that go off the war. Just like those poor people that lost their jobs and their communities with NAFTA and the hollowing out of America. Maybe Donald Trump It's the last president of his type that we will have. Maybe this is like Thatcher was in England. She gave them a brief moment of glory before, when she left, it passed on to mediocrities, to what we have now in England. And we may be having that in America. It's maybe our last shot. Everyone's saying, look at the trouble Donald Trump causes on the world stage there. How they cheer him, how they also respect him and the country he represents. That could be over. This may be it. I hope not. But Donald Trump was one man. I don't know what's going to follow him. I know he's being harassed every step of the way, just like ICE agents. I support him for many, many reasons. Because I love the country that I was born in. To be plagued in America is kind of, not the in thing now. But if then America disappears, the country will disappear too. It'll just be what the bosses want. In England, for instance, they don't want an Englishman. They just want a country where all types of people are at. Like America. Now, we were never an American per se, but we have a history, culture that's disappearing. These new people coming in, they're not assimilating. No, they're supposed to. They want us divided. And then I think, ultimately, may doom us of the country. We'll see. These fights have yet to be fought. Okay, with this in mind, this is Polly. If you sat through this, good. Please like and subscribe. Okay, till I see you again.